Before we get to the topic of today's video, please sign up to be notified when Seasons Volumes 1 and 2, Spring and Summer, the trade paperback editions, launch on Kickstarter. We're going to be launching very soon. We're trying to reach 200 followers before we go live, and every sign up and every follower counts for us to get to this goal. So go to the description below, click on that link, and please sign up and help us reach it. Thank you so much. It began with a choice to make a comic book. You transformed your idea into a full-length story with three-dimensional characters, and that story became a script, and that script was realized by a team of artists. Maybe you did it all by your lonesome, but it doesn't matter. However you got here, congratulations. You've made your first comic. Now what? The questions only persist from here. Who's going to read it? How are you going to sell it? Do you want to sell it or give it away for free? Will it be a physical book or a digital webcomic? What thickness of paper stock and style of cover finish is the right material? Do you even want your first comic in front of people where your art, and therefore by extension yourself, is vulnerable to criticism? Is your comic phenomenal, serviceable, or just terrible? Does making and selling comics affect your taxes? You've just spent a few $1,000s at minimum on this experimental passion project, hobby-like distraction, with possibly little to no idea what to do with it. Welcome to making comics, fellow traveler. The fun part is over, and the real work has just begun. As an independent creator, settling on the format and delivery method of your comic are two immensely integral pieces of the comic book making process. I've briefly touched on format in passing in earlier parts of this how-to video series, but the manner in which the author wishes the reader to engage with their art is nothing to shy away from. I highly advise you make decisions such as page count, if the comic will be a single-issue series, one-shot, or graphic novel, if you want physical or digital distribution or both, etc., before production begins on your comic. Otherwise, you could be in for a rude awakening. When I conceived the idea for Seasons, I wanted to swing for the fences. I imagined my first comic would be picked up by Image Comics, Dark Horse, or Boom Studios, and we'd be in comic shops every month for 16 months straight. Surprise, that didn't happen. Instead, I ended up creating a website, restinpeaceseasonsthecomicbook.com, and posted 2 pages on the site weekly for visitors to read for free before crowdfunding the 100-plus page hardcover first volume on Kickstarter 10 months later. My crash course through the world of indie comics had officially started in those early days, and it hasn't stopped. Those years, along with the ones that followed across 4 different series and 7 books, taught me more than I ever set out to learn. Now, I'm imparting all that knowledge I wish I had back then to you so you can avoid some of my mistakes, or at least feel more prepared to venture into this ever-changing world of indie comics publishing. With that said, let me unpack what I call the 3 Ps: publishing, printing, and promotion. The first P stands for publishing. Comic book creators have basically 5 options when it comes to how they would like to publish their comics. These following options are not mutually exclusive: traditional publishing, crowdfunding, self-publishing, anthologies, and webcomics. Let's consider each one and see what's suitable for your comic and purposes. Traditional publishing. This is the path every comic book creator sets out to walk on, and every comic book creator secretly wishes he was on, even if they won't admit it to themselves. It's the childhood dream to work for Marvel, DC, or Image Comics, and still is for me. Thankfully, I'm closer than ever before to reaching that dream since I signed my first publishing deal just the other day. It only took 8 years, but hey, better late than never, right? Getting signed to a traditional publisher grants a creator access to the direct market. You're going to hear that term, direct market, thrown around a lot in the comics community, and it's in reference to comic book shops and bookstores all over the United States and quite possibly the world. When creators talk about breaking into the industry or breaking into comics or getting their big break, this is what they mean. There's a legitimacy only a traditional publisher can bring to your name and brand. If there's anything to take away from this section, it's what I'm about to tell you. It's something I only discovered 1 or 2 years ago. Seriously, this took forever to be drilled into my head, and I don't know why, although I think I was just too focused on crowdfunding my own books and building a portfolio. If you want to get into traditional publishing and the direct market, connecting with editors is the key to breaking into comics. Whatever you do, do not forget that. You'll need something to show them, of course, which is where crowdfunding and self-publishing comes into play. But if your goal is to sign with a publisher, networking with editors at these companies is where you will have the most luck. Comb through that comic book collection of yours, find the credits section of your favorite comics, check who is listed as the editor and associate editor, and put together a short list of these editors' names. These are the people you want to connect with. Firstly, because these are the people who most likely championed a book to get greenlit at the publisher in the first place, and secondly, because they most likely have the same tastes and stories as yourself. You can genuinely approach these editors with enthusiasm because you know what they've done and you know you like what they've done. It's a win-win situation for you both that makes breaking the ice much less awkward. As a creator in 2025, these are the 20 publishers I recommend pitching to, and that, in my opinion, are at least worth investigating. Image Comics, Dark Horse Comics, Boom Studios, Mad Cave Studios, IDW Publishing, Heavy Metal Magazine, CEX Publishing, Band of Bards, Ignition Press, Gungnir Books, Humanoids, AWA Studios, SourcePoint Press, Oni Press, Antarctic Press, Marcosia, Dynamite, Bad Idea, Zenescope, and Scout Comics. Keep in mind, this is not every publisher out there. New ones are coming and going by the minute, and submissions are not always open for some publishers. The onus is on you to check back with them periodically and approach editors at conventions or via email with your portfolio or pitch packet. Pitching, what I would call the secret fourth P, is its own art and one I'm still learning how to master. Please do yourself a favor and follow a publisher's submission guidelines as well. If you don't, the submission is getting deleted or going in the trash. Seriously. Also, notice how Marvel and DC are not listed here. They are solely interested in rising proven talent with at least a few credits from smaller publishers. They prefer to know you're worth hiring, you work well with others, and that you can meet a deadline. There's no way to bypass this step, so be sure to manage your expectations. Not every publisher is created equally, but signing a publishing agreement could give you the credits and notoriety you need to eventually make writing comics a full-time gig. Signing with a publisher isn't the only way to make money in comics, however. And since you need to build a portfolio before approaching publishers and editors anyways, the next publishing route we'll examine can help you do just that. Crowdfunding. Thinking of crowdfunding as an online charity-like platform where a creator begs for money is a gross mischaracterization of its purpose. Rather, it is an online platform to secure pre-orders for a product the creator is offering. In this case, the product is your comic book. There has never been a better time for independent comics in the history of the medium, and it's thanks to crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter. Crowdfunding, or the direct-to-customer approach, has jump-started or kickstarted many professional comic book careers over the past few years, including those of writers, artists, editors, and letterers. Everyone has to begin somewhere, and Kickstarter, as well as other crowdfunding platforms like Indiegogo, have given hundreds, if not thousands, of creators the opportunity to publish a comic book. Some comics even begin as Kickstarter campaigns and then get picked up by a publisher later on. Check out Beastlands by Curtis Clow. Crowdfunding is best utilized at its most basic level to help raise enough funds to print and ship your comic to customers, saving you thousands of dollars. But there's also the potential to raise enough funds to pay for nearly every single step of the comic book making process, saving you potentially tens of thousands. Crowdfunding can open doors for you that traditional publishing cannot, allowing you to have complete creative control in every facet of production. Traditional publishers are adopting crowdfunding to take advantage of another source of revenue as we speak. A creator gets all the perks of self-publishing with the built-in audience that Kickstarter provides and without all of the upfront costs. Believe me, the power of the crowdfunding platform cannot be understated. Without it, I wouldn't be here and would have quit comics a long time ago. The only drawback, if you want to classify it as such, of running a Kickstarter campaign for a comic is that all the responsibility to market, print, publish, and fulfill falls on the creator alone. You. It's primarily a one-man show with no infrastructure that has your back, except your backers, of course. It's an insane amount of pressure to take upon oneself and can be mentally and emotionally exhausting to follow through with. Whoever launches a crowdfunding campaign is no longer a creator, they are a publisher now. I could spend an entire series on how to run a successful Kickstarter campaign, and maybe I will one day, but the first campaign will always be the most challenging. It may fail or it may succeed, but you will learn how to refine the process with every following campaign. I've ran 9 successful crowdfunding campaigns in total. I'm 9 for 9 currently, but the anxiety of a project not meeting its goal never goes away no matter how many campaigns are under your belt. If you want to crowdfund your first comic book, these are my recommendations. Support crowdfunded comics and see firsthand what it's like from a customer's perspective. Browse the Kickstarter platform and look at how campaigns are presented and what rewards they offer. Estimate how many copies of your comic you want to print, how much your comic will cost to print, and how much it will cost to ship your comic to your backers. Before you launch a crowdfunding campaign, create a sign-up or pre-launch page and get as many sign-ups as you can before launch. Try to have as much of your comic done before you launch a crowdfunding campaign so that your backers do not have to wait long to receive their books. Run your crowdfunding campaign for 30 days or less. And finally, schedule as many interviews, podcasts, live streams as possible so you can promote your campaign once it's live. Self-publishing is exactly what it means. Feasibly, you've decided running a crowdfunding campaign isn't for you. You're going to self-fund the comic from creation to production to printing. And while it'll be more of an uphill battle getting eyes on your book as you start out, that's totally fine. If you do choose this route, your next step will be to schedule as many author signings and convention appearances as possible around the country or in your area to sell your comics so you can get a return on your investment, assuming that's the end goal. There's also Amazon's print-on-demand services and Ingram Spark you can use. You also have a portfolio piece to share with editors if you're interested in doing so as well. Anthologies. This avenue of publishing is ideal for creators who are trying to get their feet wet in the world of indie comics. An anthology is a collection of short stories by a handful of creative teams united under one series, premise, theme, or genre, and under one publisher. A writer or artist may not have the ability or finances to put together an entire comic book, so publishing a short story, usually anywhere from 6 to 12 pages, is the next best thing. A creator gets all the experience of creating a comic at a smaller scale with none of the weight of publishing it themselves. Creators, normally the writer, still has to assemble their team and pay out of pocket for the short story, but the budget is considerably smaller compared to a standard comic or graphic novel. There's also the possible benefit of getting paid a page rate and receiving complimentary copies, what they call comps, from the publisher either free or at a discount. I only started submitting to anthologies a couple years ago, another fact I beat myself over, after being offered my first work-for-hire job and advise pursuing the opportunity whenever it presents itself. This allows a creator to get their work in front of an audience and fan base not their own. Sadly, there's not a comics anthology hub or site that keeps track of all the anthologies out there, but feel free to ask around, participate in the indie comics community, and keep your ear to the ground for when submissions open via social media and newsletters. Creating a webcomic is another form of self-publishing, except the creator is free from traditional formatting standards or templates, and there's literally no hurdles, paywall included, that the reader has to go through to engage with the comic. Webcomics are typically free to read and can be accessed through a website the creator sets up, a newsletter, or a webcomics platform such as Webtoon, Tapaz, Macroverse, or Global Comics. As I stated earlier, this is how my first comic seasons began. I created a website, not fun by the way, using a WordPress template and consistently posted pages to the site weekly. There wasn't a huge readership, but it gave me a chance to build an audience from scratch with a non-existent entry fee for the reader. I eventually transitioned over to other digital webcomics platforms like those mentioned above and axed the website altogether. It wasn't very flattering anyways. The digital comics landscape isn't where my focus is personally. I'm sort of a purist about the art form. I rarely read comics digitally and find that the digital format can actually impede the flow of the reading experience. I don't want to get a text notification from my mom or get notified that my Amazon package has been delivered while I'm in the middle of an emotional scene, you know? I believe digital is a brilliant way to get readers in the door and exposed to my comics, but it's my hope that they'll enjoy the story so much that they will want to order a physical copy to keep in their collection. So, don't stake your business model on digital, but don't neglect its advantages. As a small business, it makes sense to be available wherever possible, wherever readers are, and wherever you can make a sale. The second P stands for printing. If a creator is committed to printing a physical edition of their comic, finding the right printer can be difficult and at times a confusing venture. All of a sudden, you have to know what cover stock, cover finish, paper stock, and paper finish you want, gloss or matte, or uncoated, for example. You have to decide if you want to print your comic as a black and white comic or as a full color comic. The price difference is dramatic in most cases, so be forewarned. You have to investigate what the differences are between a digital printer or an offset printer. Offset printers provide a higher quality in my opinion, but are more expensive to use due to the print operation. You have to figure out how many copies you want to print. The minimum is 250 for most printers, sometimes 500. You also need to make sure the print files are formatted correctly for the specific printer you're using, because if there's a mistake in the printed comic and it's your fault, there's no going back. If there's a mistake and it's a printer's fault, they should rectify it free of charge. Here is a list of comic book printer companies to seek out and compare price quotes. Print Ninja, which is the printer I use, Comics Wellspring, Comic Impressions, Mixam, ONS, Color Vision, Kablam, Ready Comics, and Quinn Printing. Here are the most basic comic book print specifications for a single issue comic. Binding type, saddle stitching, size 6.625 by 10.25, cover material, coated or uncoated, cover paper weight 85 pounds, cover paper coating, gloss or matte, cover finish, lamination or varnish, inside page count 24 to 32 pages. FYI, the inside page count must be divisible by 4. Inside paper weight 70 pounds. Inside paper coating, gloss or matte. I printed Seasons Volume 1 Spring with Print Ninja and never looked back. All of my comics, Seasons Volume 1 Spring, Seasons Volume 2 Summer, Man-Child Issues 1 through 3, Lifeline, and The Fabled Offering, have been printed with Print Ninja. Their quality is unmatched, I'm biased, and there's never been a printing error on their part whatsoever. It's happened more than once where a customer has walked up to my table during an author signing or convention show and drooled over the print quality of my books. Yes, they are on the higher end price-wise, but you absolutely get what you pay for. After spending so much time making the best comic possible, it should be a creator's prerogative to print the best comic possible. Understand that presentation is a major selling point for your books. The third and final P stands for promotion. No matter how or where you make comics, promotion is a necessary evil. Below are the 7 tried and true means by which to market yourself and your comic to the public. A newsletter. Please start a Substack today and collect those emails ASAP. A YouTube channel. Post weekly or monthly, whether it's videos, shorts, or live streams. A website or web store. Create a Linktree and a Gumroad store if you can't afford a website or a web store, but you will eventually need one so people can find you and purchase from you so you can get some passive income. Social media. Choose 3 that work for you and post actively on sites like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads to gain visibility. Comic conventions. Here you can network with other creators in person, including editors at your favorite publishers. Local comic shops and bookstores. Become friends with store owners and managers in your area and set up author signing events. Then there's business cards and flyers. Make that connection however possible, hustle hard, and get those boots on the ground. Whew. Okay, I need a breather after all that. Thus ends my newsletter series, Creating My First Comic. 20,000 words later, and I feel like I should compile a small booklet to hand creators and customers at shows. What do you guys think about that? Thank you so much for watching and listening. It's been rewarding being able to share my experiences and knowledge with all of you. Please sign up to be notified when Seasons Volumes 1 and 2 Spring and Summer launch on Kickstarter very soon, and please let me know what you thought of the series. Was there anything I didn't cover in this series you wish I had? Would you like me to dive deeper into a certain topic? What else would you like me to discuss? Thanks again, and go and make some comics.